growing our own food. Many of us have even launched into the agribusiness, growing our own gardens, supplying restaurants, supplying our neighbors, our communities, and building out things that would help us to thrive in a survivor's economy. Well, AI is already making waves in the food industry, and the disruption is going to accelerate. And so we want to know how, here are some major ways that AI will reshape the industry and what you can do to stay ahead of the curve. Number one, AI powered personalization and nutrition optimization. What does that mean? AI will drive hyper personalized meal recommendations. And I need you to listen to me carefully because these are ways that you can actually begin to think about pivoting. AI will drive hyper personalized meal recommendations, diet plans, and product suggestions based on individual health data, preferences, and even genetic information. Food companies leveraging AI will be able to offer tailored nutrition solutions at scale. In business, that's what we always want to do. We want to be scaling what it is that we do. When we know how AI will disrupt, then we can pivot. So, how do you stay ahead of this disruption? If you're in food production or meal planning per se, consider incorporating AI driven meal planning services, personalized subscription boxes, or smart ingredient recommendations based on dietary needs. Partner with health and wellness AI platforms could also give you an edge. And that's what we want. We want to be ahead of the curve, right? At this point, many of us are behind the curve because it happened so quickly. Number two, automation in food production and supply chain will also be affected. The disruption comes with AI-driven robotics and machine learning will streamline food production. It will reduce waste and optimize logistics. Pay attention. AI-powered agriculture will also improve crop yields, and automated kitchens will reduce labor costs in restaurants and food manufacturing. Who are, what are, where are these automated systems? How do you stay ahead? Start integrating AI-driven supply chain tools that enhance efficiency and reduce costs. If you're in the food prep or production industries, explore AI-driven quality control or robotic kitchen assistants. Investing in smart inventory management could also prevent food waste and improve profitability. Number three, AI in marketing and consumer engagement. The disruption will happen when AI revolutionizes food marketing through predictive analysis, chatbots, and targeted advertising. It will enable brands to understand consumer behavior at a granular level, creating highly effective and automated marketing campaigns. How do you stay ahead? Use AI-powered marketing tools to analyze your customer behavior, automate outreach, and refine product recommendations. If you have an online presence, use it. Consider AI-driven customer service bots or personalized email marketing to boost engagement. A bonus strategy, but to future proof future proof your business is to stay updated on AI trends in food by following industry leaders and attending AI food tech conferences. You want to stay in the know. You want to network at all costs. Consider strategic partnerships with AI driven food startups. Leverage your AI tools like ChatGPT for business automation, content creation, and customer interactions to free up time for innovation. That is what is happening in the market right now for AI disruptions in the food industry. In other news, we are talking about some different things that are happening across food, water, energy, and real estate, our ability to shelter. Here are some things that are happening right now. You know, we've had a lot of talk about eggs, and this week is no different. Egg prices and consumer response. The average price for a dozen of eggs, they're saying a large eggs in the US reached a record high of $4.95 in January. But those numbers vary across all of the United States. Those numbers are differing. So I put, very little faith in what's happened, a solid number, because I know that that number changes geographically. In response, of course, to the rising egg prices, many Americans are purchasing or renting hens. And if you haven't heard of that, that is a real thing where people are actually renting hens to produce their own eggs. Those who large hen farms where they have many have found a lucrative way to make money by renting hens. But you must also know how to care for those little babies. My hens are pets to me. They produce eggs, but they're my pets and I take really good care of them. So you have to know a little something. If this is what you're interested in, you want to begin to learn the logistics of caring for backyard chickens. The number of backyard chickens in the U.S. has increased to 11 million, up from 5.8 million in 2018. So it's a good thing not only for us to know how to thrive in a survivor's market, but we must also know how to care for. And it's also a good thing to bring the family along, to learn something new, to get back to the basics, the things that our ancestors and our parents knew about, right? Food industry market projections. The U.S. food market is projected to grow by 4.35% between 2025 and 2030, reaching a market volume of 1.069 trillion by 2030. Globally, the food market is expected to grow by 6.43% over the same period, with the projected market volume of 13.22 trillion by 2030. Let's look at some trade and export insights. India's rice industry is urging the government to lift the ban on 100% broken rice exports due to a surplus of 67.6 million metric tons, significantly exceeding the target of 7.6 million tons. Why should we care about rice? Because most of us love rice, right? Trade between Great Britain and Ireland saw a 6 billion decline in 2024, decreasing from 38 billion in 2023. This was largely due to a 3 billion drop in Ireland's chemical exports to the UK. Consumer spending and dining trends. Let's talk about it. Millennials in the US spend an average of $3,455 annually on dining out, while Gen Z spends about $2,483. Despite spending less, Gen Z tends to eat out more frequently, favoring fast, casual, and affordable dining options. I want to encourage you this year to really think about what it costs to be you. Because I don't think that in all honesty, um, I think that we must consider how we spending our money. I believe with all of the trends that the only way you thrive in a survivor's market is to begin to be strategic. Know what it costs to be you. And that means currently, how are you spending your money, and what's your current absolute necessary essentials for living right now. A lot of times when you hear that question, what does it cost to be you? Many will come up with a bogus number. And what I learned when I was asked that question was that's a question that requires a little bit of work. And for me, in discovering and answering that question, I couldn't just come up with a number. I had to go back and I had to say, okay, well, let me really go back and look at my bank statements, my financial patterns to see how was I spending money and what really were my essentials and my non-essentials. And in doing so, I looked at 6 months to a year of bank statements, really sat down and just documented and checked and balanced to see, did I really need to spend that money, or was that essential, or was that non-essential? And so by doing that work, I was able to see how I was spending money. And when I think about consumer spending and dining trends, that's how you discover how you are spending your money. And it will help you to say, okay, to get ahead, what must I do now? To get ahead, I knew that I had to look at how money was working for me or was not working for me. I also had to look at um, what do I do? Do I continue the non-essential behaviors, or how could I use the money that I was using on non-essentials to invest in a way that to leverage in a way that I could get ahead of the current trends or the current down spot, the current falls in the economy. So those were some of the ways that I was able to answer that question. And it is actually um, some good homework for each of us to be doing right now so that we can stay ahead of the spiral downward, what I call the survivor's economy. So, what are some of the industry challenges associated with food right now? Grocery prices, of course, in the US have surged nearly 27% since pre pandemic times, significantly impacting grocery workers whose wages have not kept pace with rising costs. But that's not just grocery workers, that's across most industries, and that's because our wages are not keeping up with the economy, the cost of living. And so that's not just I want to be really mindful that that is not just grocery. While we're talking about food, that does not just impact grocery workers. Okay, so what are some recent developments in the food industry? Again, the American flock to buy hens as egg prices continue to rise. Of course, demand is surging at this point. The Indian industry body calls for broken rice exports as stocks surge, and more. So here are some changes that are happening in the water industry. We talk about food, water, energy, and shelter, and we need to stay in the know. Financial challenges, of course, in the UK water sector. There are household water bills in England and Wales are set to rise by an average of 36% over the next 5 years. equating to an additional 31 pounds per year. Global water usage and industry growth, agriculture accounts for approximately 70% of global water consumption, while industry and domestic use account for 20% and 10% respectively. I want to stop there for a second because one of the things as an agribusiness, one of the things that I did last year to begin to eliminate the need for so much water was to build in a forest floor. Like literally, you have to ask yourself in the agricultural space, you have to ask yourself, what grows in the forest? That's a really good question. How does the forest grow? There are trees there. You can forage and find food there. You can find medicine there. Things just grow naturally in the forest. And it's because the forest feeds the forest floor and all of the amazing resources that you can find in a forest are feeding the forest floor. The forest does not compete for water. It does not compete for the natural nutrients to for things to grow. And if you go take a walk, a nature walk into the forest, what you will find is the forest floor is full of resources. And if you pull back the layers, you have really, really, really rich, moist, good compost, dirt, that things just absolutely thrive in because it has the natural barks, it has natural mulch, it has the leaves, it has limbs, it has all of the amazing resources that grow in a forest, feeding the forest floor. So when you are thinking about the design of your agri space to grow food, you want to be thinking about creating an environment where you don't need as much water, that you have the soil underneath the matter that you have established will provide the nutrients and keep moisture uh, going into and preserve the water to feed your crops because it's not going to be consumed or absorbed by the sun. So that is one of the things that I found that was very helpful to begin that process last year so that we're going to see the results, and I'm going to be excited about sharing with you what was the difference between last year and this year. Well, last year we had a lot of rain, so things naturally grew anyway, but we have to begin to think about how climate, how all these things affect us in the agribusiness space as well. Water scarcity and infrastructure concerns in the United States. 40 out of 50 state water managers anticipate water shortages. So stay ahead of the curve. Under average conditions in some portion of their states over the next decade. So these are things that if we know about them, we can stay ahead of them by creating environments that will allow us to continue to do what is necessary to feed our families and continue our agricultural businesses. Texas, more specifically, faces significant water infrastructure challenges, with a recent report highlighting a critical need for $154 billion over the next 50 years to address water supply shortages and deteriorating systems. Failure to act could result in severe economic consequences, including the loss of 1 million jobs and $153 billion annually. This source comes directly from HoustonChronicles.com. What about environmental and regulatory developments? Well, there are many globally, and that the British government plans to establish an independent commission to revise regulations concerning governing the water industry, responding to public concern over frequent sewage pollution in rivers and on beaches. So, why do we point to what's happening in other governments? Because we can learn from what's happening in other governments. Sometimes other global communities are getting it right, maybe not. And so what can we learn when they are getting it right, right? So it's important for us to not not have a closed mind when it comes to how do we learn uh, and develop new concepts, and that's specifically by looking into what's going well in other places. So we want to make sure that we keep our pulse on what's happening globally as well. All right, so what's happening in the energy space? In the energy space, of course, global energy consumption and production in 2023, global electricity generation increased from 2.5%, reaching a record level of 29,925 terawatt hours. Many of us and I don't know what is a terawatt hour. This growth rate was 25% faster than the overall global primary energy consumption, indicating a trend towards increased electrification. This comes from energyinstitute.org. The United States maintained its position as the world's second largest energy producer and consumer in 2021, following China. What's happening with renewable energy? I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but let's more notably talk about clean energy jobs in the U.S. Grew by 4.9% in 2023, more than double the overall job growth rate of 2.0%, adding approximately 149,000 new jobs. What will happen with clean energy jobs in 2025 uh, remains to be seen. Fossil fuel in 2024, ExxonMobil more specifically increased its capital spending projections through 2025 and beyond, planning to invest between 27 billion and 29 billion in 2025, with an anticipated 18% production increase by 2030. Policy and regulatory developments around energy in 2025. The current administration declared a national energy emergency, aiming to boost fossil fuel production by removing environmental regulations. Critics argue this move is designed to increase corporate profits rather than lower energy profits. And how does this help us? That's interesting. Let's see. We have technological and market dynamics that are also going on. Like I said, it leaves a lot to be desired when these policy changes are being implemented. Let's talk about technological and market dynamics. The rise of artificial intelligence again and data centers is contributing to increased electricity demand, with projections indicating a potential doubling of consumption to tele TWH by 2026. I'm trying to think of the name of these watts. This is the terawatts. Terawatts. TWH is terawatts. We are real time here, everybody, looking into the news. So we keep it real here in the studio at Touch One Life, Touch Millions, as we provide you with all things resources, health related to health and human services. And so we're excited to share in the news with you today and always. What about the real estate market? Finally, we're getting here to the real estate market. We're talking about some of the national trends that are going on, and when we know, right? We can make decisions based on what we know. Home prices. As of December 2024, U.S. home prices increased by 3.4% year over year. The CoreLogic Home Price Index forecasts a 4.1% rise from December 2024 to December 2025. For more information, please visit CoreLogic.com. That is a major player in information provided to us about home prices. Mortgage rates. The average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 6.89% at the start of February 2025, down from a peak of 7.79% in October of 2023. So we're reaching across a couple of years. Projections suggest rates will stabilize around 6.5% throughout 2025. And so if this is in fact true, we have a heads up, those of us who need to make decisions about property, about investments, about do I buy a home or not? What are some um, resources that's available to me? What's the impact of a 6.5% rate at buying a home? These are all things, numbers that are important to the decisions that we and our community and our families and neighbors need to make decisions. So housing inventory is at an 11.7% increase in housing inventory is anticipated in 2025, providing more options for buyers. For more information on home inventories, visit Homes for Here. I'm sorry. Homesforheroes.com. That's where that statistic is coming from. Now, in Greenville, North Carolina, market insights in the home of where not my native place, but that's where I am now. Your median home prices in Greenville, North Carolina in January 2025, the median sale price in Greenville was $229,450, reflecting a 4.4% decrease compared to the previous year. This information comes from the redfin.com for more information. Days on market. This is important information when you are looking to buy or sell. Days on market. Homes in Greenville average 41 days on the market in January 2025, up from 21 days in January 2024. So people aren't buying as quickly as you can see. That's what that means. Days on markets 41, up from 21 days in January, the same time in January 2024. Sales volume here in Greenville, North Carolina, there were 62 homes sold in January 2025, and that's a 24% increase from 50 homes sold the same time in January 2024. So I like the way they make the comparison here. So to kind of give you an insight as to what direction are we going? Should we hold? Should we buy? What are some things that we should be thinking about? That information also comes from redfin.com. So check out those numbers if you are interested in learning more about the real estate market. For your information, builder confidence and market outlook. Home builder sentiments, the National Association of Home Builders and Wells Fargo Confidence Index fell 5 points to 42 in February 2025, the lowest level since September 2024. This decline is attributed to concerns over tariffs on imported goods and higher mortgage rates, which may increase housing costs. We knew this was coming for sure. Because if you're building, you need products to build. This information is coming from Reuters.com. Tap into Reuters for more information as it relates to home building concerns. Construction costs. Tariffs on imports from countries like Canada, China, and Mexico have raised the cost of construction materials, which we knew would come, potentially adding between 17,000 and 22,000 to the price of a new home, which currently averages $422,000. This is coming directly from MarketWatch.com. So these resources are tap into these resources. They will be helpful in the days to come as you are beginning to make decisions about building in the real estate market. Some highlights in the North Carolina area, more specifically, the state's housing inventory increased by 17.1% in 2025 compared to the previous year, marking the sixth consecutive month of growth. That's good to know. The median home price stands at $376,000 across North Carolina, with homes spending an average of 55 days on the market. So across North Carolina, that number of market on the days is 55 days. So that's an interesting number compared to my local number. My state number is up 55 days. So that's a 13-day difference on the market. That information comes specifically from Hosea.com. So you can tap into that for more information on the region, more specifically in the county. In December 2024, the median listing for a home price was $285,000, a 5% year-over-year decrease. Homes sold for a median price of $273,000 after approximately 57 days on the market. So these numbers, for those of us who are in the real estate and or investment industry, or those who are buying or selling, all of us need to understand these numbers. You're talking about that the Greenville number is saying 41 days on the market. The county is saying 57 days on the market, and then at the state level is 55 days on the market. So, give or take, help you to make some decisions. Market projections in the home prices are expected to rise modestly in 2025, with forecasts indicating an average increase of 2.9%. Interest rates, while mortgage rates have declined slightly, are projected to stabilize again at 6.5% for 30-year fixed rate mortgages throughout 2025. And that is all that I have in the news today. Super excited to share with you resources that will help you to make some informed decisions. You can reach us here every week, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. as we are bringing you information and news centering the food, water, energy, and the real estate industry, and any other news. So let's stay informed also, everyone, as we opened up today's conversation. Let's stay informed on how AI is disrupting your business industry and what can you do to stay ahead. This is Dr. Eve, your community health and human service educator. Super excited to be with you in the space and to always bring you information and news along